Alrighty, everybody. It is another episode of the Weekly Mash where we are spotlighting incredible indie authors who bring heart, heat, and honesty to the page. Today, we are super excited to be chatting with an author whose stories celebrate authenticity, empowerment, and love in all forms. We have Ashlyn Harmon here, author of Maybe One Day, a sports romance that dives deep into second chances, self-worth, and healing through love. Thank you so much, Ashlyn, for joining us. Would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your book, and then we'll dive into some more questions for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everybody. Like Miranda said, my name is Ashlyn Harmon, and I write sports romances that I say are lighter on the spice, but really heavy on the found family. Maybe One Day is the first book in the Adair swimming series, which is currently completed, but there is a novella in the works. But it is a second chance friends to lovers romance told in a reverse dual timeline. So you start with the heartbreak and end with the happy ever after.
Yeah,
awesome.
As long as
I
it
love
ends in a
those
happily
second
ever
chance
after.
romances.
Yeah,
Second
you
chance.
get the first meeting and the happy ever after right at the end, and it makes me happy.
Yeah. That's important. If you're writing it,
Yeah.
should make you happy, right?
Absolutely.
I was going to say, if you are a romance author and your books do not end in a happily ever after, like, we cannot be friends.
Right? Like, you know, my MMC is still not in a great place mentally by the end of the book, but, you know, he sees the light. He's working with it. He's got his girl back. He's happy. So we're good. We're good.
Yeah, we did have an author on not too long ago. It's funny that Ashley said that because we had a romantic tragedy author on. So Ash, you can't say that we can't be friends with someone without a happily ever after because we
That's
are
a
already.
romantic tragedy.
Right, yeah, you have to distinguish the difference so that you're not grouping.
No, romantic tragedy, dark romance, those are all different.
Whole other subgenre.
Just pointing that out.
It's fluff, it's happy, it's love, it's the butterflies. There's no unhappy ending in a romance book.
Okay. Okay, just clarifying. We're good.
Oh,
we're good.
I know. I already told her we were best friends. We can't go back.
Yes.
Okay, Ashlyn, so we're going to dive into our fun questions. Let's start a little bit about you. Can you give listeners your best author elevator pitch? Who is Ashlyn outside of writing?
That would mean Ashlyn would have to figure out who she is outside of writing. Okay, so I am I'm a Midwestern girl to my core, born and raised in Omaha, Nebraska. Maybe One Day takes place primarily in Omaha. I do have a lot of, outside of writing, I got my degree in wildlife biology, so I minored in English. So I get to look at my books from a really logical, critical point, and then the two sides of my brain come together, which makes editing really fun for me. I'm also an editor. I offer developmental editing, proofreading, manuscript evaluations, primarily for romance indie authors. But otherwise, I'm a homebody. I like watching spooky paranormal shows. I like hanging out with my corgi. If you hear prancing, he's underfoot. And being outside, just hanging out. I'm really low key, and I know that's so boring.
No.
But I'm I hit 30, and I'm pajamas all day.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So relatable.
I'm we have interviews today. Can I get away with being pajamas from the waist down?
I work from home,
casual.
Ash. Do you know how often I teach in sweatpants or pajama pants?
I'm not going to stand up. Nobody needs to see my pajama pants.
Today's Sunday, so today's TikTok day, so I should probably wear jeans.
If you're wearing jeans, you're better than me.
I don't know about that. We're not going to say whether these jeans are clean or not. We'll talk about that later.
Right.
They were the ones that were at the foot of the bed because I didn't want dirty, clean ones. For 2 hours of content.
True. I could totally go off on a tangent, but I won't. I'm gonna try to focus in. So based on your blurb that you provided, we see that your books highlight body positivity. There's mental health, non-toxic masculinity topics. These are things that don't get enough attention in romance. Was there a particular moment or book that made you realize this is the kind of story that I want to tell?
So, I mean, for me, growing up plus size, I didn't have heroines that looked like me. And if I
Mhm.
did, they needed a makeover. They needed to lose weight.
Right?
You're never gonna have that cringy makeover scene where, oh, now she's beautiful because she
Yeah.
lost 20 pounds. Whatever. So I really wanted to write that. And I did media work for professional swimming for 10 years. So I
Ooh.
was the fat girl in professional swimming. And it, I had moments in my life where I was called out, I was embarrassed even within the sport. And I wanted to prove to readers, like, you can get, like, your body type should not matter. If it's the
Exactly.
person you're supposed to be with, if he's 6'3", has an 8-pack and can throw you around, okay, great. Like, don't limit yourself. And, it took me a long time to kind of get that confidence where I could be like, whoever I end up with is who I'm going to end up with. And
Mhm.
it doesn't matter. There's not a certain body type I'm like able to pick from. So that was really it for me. And I just, I live in Nebraska and I'm surrounded by toxic masculinity within the state, but I lived in a family that did not believe in that. And, my dad's not that way. So I was raised to speak my mind and stand up for what I believe in. And to me, this idea that guys can't have real deep meaningful conversations with their
Mhm.
friends is so foreign to me because who do
Yeah.
you talk to?
I
Like,
know.
how do
Right?
you deal with it? So, it was really important for me to have that, especially with Bryce and Carter, who are the MMCs for book 1 and 2, and they are best friends, like childhood best friends. Like, they got drunken matching tattoos. Like, that's how close they are. Carter's also bi, and, I really wanted that support system for him, and I wanted to also show people, "Hey, your husband, your boyfriend, your brother, your whatever can have a guy best friend that he can confide in,
Yeah.
who's also not afraid to call him out on his own shit," and that's
Mhm.
Carter 100% for Bryce, so
Ready. All
I love all of that. Just the whole
right.
thing.
Tens.
The whole thing.
Tens. Yeah. As a well, first of all, if we're gonna say right now, beautiful women are like a thing. Like they are
Yeah.
the in thing, and I'm here for it.
Yes.
Like
Yep.
all these TikTok guys who are like, I don't want to stick. Like, give me a girl that I can like. I don't even know, but yeah, I'm here for it. And also, kind of the same thing, like, growing up, I've always been a little bit on the chubbier side or, like, the athletic build that wasn't technically, like, skinny, and
Yeah.
finally one day, I was like, "You know what? I'm tired of being shamed for who I am. I may not be a stick, but I am super active, like, I hike, I do all this
Yeah.
stuff." Um, and I finally, like, I went out one day and I got myself a tattoo, and it's literally, like, across my chest, and it says, "Imperfection is beauty." And it's from
I love
Marilyn
that.
Monroe because it
Yep.
was my gift to myself to just accept the fact that I may not be perfect, but I am still beautiful. So,
Perfect is overrated. Perfect is
Right.
boring. And I think it's also important to highlight, and each of my female leads do that, to highlight that it's not perfect every day.
Mhm.
Like, you can have that confidence, but there are going to be days that I wake up and I'm like, oh, I wish I could
yeah.
change this about my body. I
Mhm.
wish I could change that, because everybody has those days.
Yep.
It does not matter who you are. I don't care if you're the fittest person in the world. You have
I'm
those
sure.
days.
But I'm here for the fluffy girl power right now, I'm just saying.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
So let's talk about maybe one day. For listeners who haven't read it yet, what can listeners expect from Josie and Bryce's story?
So they can expect a lot. I mean, it is Friends with Benefits. He is very focused on getting an Olympic gold medal in the previous year. And you get to see, I really wanted to focus on what professional sports can do to the mental health. And, we have people like Michael Phelps, Allison Schmidt coming out of the Olympics talking about that post Olympic depression, because
Mhm.
it's real. What do you do when you get that goal? And what do you do when you keep falling short of that goal? So Josie tries to be really supportive of him, but ultimately he does pick his own ambitions over her. is what it feels like, but as you read the story, you find out more that he was so terrified of bringing her down with him, and he knew where his mental health was. So theirs is, they have to deal with their own mental health issues, and that means sometimes we have conversations about the same thing 2 times, 3 times. Like, it's not magically fixed in one conversation. But they really love each other, and they really want what's best for each other, and they push each other toward their dream. She kinda calls him out like, "Oh, you're not actually past this bad part in your mental health journey." And he's like, "Okay, but you settled at a corporate job you hate. I thought you wanted to be a writer. What are you writing?" And so you see them really build a foundation on friendship, and when he comes back into her life, he knows he doesn't deserve a second chance, but he's trying, and that doesn't always look perfect. So lots of swoony moments, a lot of Taylor Swift references. I didn't realize how many until I was like marketing the book. I'm like, oh crap. But just it's it's a solid story of friendship, and then that blooms into love. And it's not perfect. It's not, everybody's. I mean, I can say that as an author. It's not going to be everybody's cup of tea.
Mhm.
But that's how real life is. And I wanted them to be relatable. I wanted my readers to be able to be like, oh, wow, okay, they have to talk about this twice. See, okay, I have to do that too. And I never see that in books. So you might cry, you will definitely laugh, and you will definitely fall in love.
Love all the feels.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are the best books that make you feel all the feelings with the characters. It's my
Yes.
favorite. Yeah.
And let's be honest, when you have a conversation with a man, it's more than 2 times where you're talking about the
Yeah.
same thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, first you have to let them be, like, all in their feelings about it and, like, fix it themselves, and then you're like, "Okay, now it's my turn," and they're like, "Wait, what? Hold on, you were
Yeah.
her? I didn't." Oh.
That's if they
So,
even
yeah.
remember the first conversation to begin with.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
then
Like,
they need their turn
there
again.
there's a point where Bryce is like, "Didn't we already talk about this?" And she's like, "No, you talked, I listened. Now shut up
Right.
and listen." And so, yeah. And he doesn't like the truth, and that's the reality sometimes, and, so they have to
One
deal
day
with
they'll
that, and they have
realize
to grow
we
from
are
that.
always right.
Yeah,
There's this
absolutely.
thing, I've seen it on like fun business signs and stuff. It's like, if at first you don't succeed, do what your wife told you to do in the first place. It's like my favorite thing. Is so funny
Yeah.
because it's so
Hell
true.
yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh
gosh.
god.
Yeah. So we were talking about the emotional roller coaster within the book. We have the mix of the second chance romance, the athletic dedication, the personal growth, which we love, of course, around here. What was the hardest scene for you to write, and what was your favorite, if you can tell without giving spoilers?
Favorite was probably after she says shut up and listen, he has to leave because he's now confronted with how badly he hurt her and how, he didn't even think, holy shit, I'm doing this to her in public. Like, that never crossed his mind. And when he finally gets the balls to come back and tell her, she says something like, you look absolutely terrified. And one of my favorite lines I've ever written, she says, "There's nothing scary here except some tarot decks and maybe a friendly ghost, but the jury's still out on that one. So I have to sprinkle in my love of spooky things
I
somewhere."
love it.
And he looks at her and he goes, "No, you scare the shit out of me because this is real and it could be real." And I loved writing that scene. The hardest scene for me to write was when they go on their first date after reconnecting. There is some fat phobia that is like slid right in there. The hostess kind of looks at her like, "I should be with him, not you.
Yeah.
He's this gorgeous, man." If I fan cast my own books because I have to be able to visualize somebody acting
Yeah.
them out. So if you ever look up Oliver Stark, that was part of the inspiration for him. So this tall, well built, gorgeous man. And Josie, in that moment, we still have that moment of insecurity where she's like, "Wait, should I be with him?" Like, and he doesn't see it as fat phobia until she points it out, and then he has a great reaction to it. But in that moment, I wanted to make sure that I made it clear that it can be so underhanded, and
Mhm.
70% of the time the people you're with, if they're not plus size, they're not gonna pick up on that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the way that she kind of like leans against the table and blocks Josie, like, hey, look, I'm prettier, I'm here. So that was really hard for me to write because I didn't want Josie to get all emotional about it. Like, I wanted it to be like, this is a fact of my life. And if you're with
Mhm.
me, you might have to deal with that.
Mhm.
So finding that balance was really hard for me.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I can imagine too. And it's not just fat phobia either. It's all stereotypes, all
Yeah.
prejudices. If you aren't experiencing those, a lot of times you're blind
Yep.
to them. So it's great that you're putting them
Absolutely.
out into the world to bring awareness. Like if you are around someone
Absolutely.
who's dealing with these things, you may not realize
Yep.
it, but they do it all the time. Yeah.
And I really carried that into book 2 with, Carter being bisexual and, like, the undertoned homophobia that comes with that. And then the female lead of that book, Kat, she is in a really toxic relationship, and her family is extremely fat phobic, but he's able to kind of pick up on that easier because, A, Josie is now one of his best friends, and because he experiences that underhanded, discrimination, whatever, he's able to pick that up much easier. And he actually tells her, he's like, "This isn't okay." And she's like, "Oh, but I've had this my whole life." And he's like, "That doesn't make it okay."
Right.
And it's the silly stuff, not even just all the bigger stuff. Like, for example, going out to eat at a restaurant like you're talking about, and them not even asking you if you want a booth or a table. They just automatically take you to a table.
I
You know?
hate that so much.
Right.
I
I'm like,
know.
"No, I want a booth. Please
I
give me a
know.
booth."
It
What?
happened to me yesterday,
No.
and I was so mad about it. My
Every
God.
time I'm so sassy about it. They take me to the table and I'm like, "Actually, can we get a booth?" And then they're like, they
Yeah.
panic.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, I
Yep.
get it.
Or
So
that,
oh, go ahead.
or that mental thought of, "Oh, everybody else is eating healthy. I really want a cheeseburger. Okay, I'm gonna get a salad because
Yeah.
fat girl can't have a cheeseburger while
Mhm.
everybody else is
Yeah.
eating,"
Right.
So,
Or
yeah.
will they judge me if I get a soda instead of water?
Yep. Or will they judge me if I get a salad? Like, I'm trying to
Yeah.
prove I'm healthy. Like, it's the whole thing.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
mental loops and
Now
everything.
that
Yep.
inner dialogue just
Yep.
it's rolling.
I always make a joke about it. Like, for example, the school I work at, we had an evacuation drill the other day, and I'm a preschool teacher. And of course, like, we have to get on a bus and like be evacuated from the school. And I have a huge backpack on with all the preschooler stuff. And they put us on a bus, and the aisle for the bus is like literally the smallest aisle I've ever been in. And the bus is already full. And I'm going like all the way to the back. And I'm like, sorry, wide load coming through. Sorry, big booty
Yep.
Judy, like, watch your faces. Because if you don't, somebody else will.
If you own it, it's going to be better.
Oh, yeah, I own it all the time.
You have to own it.
Yeah.
It helps so much.
It feels better if you're the one picking on yourself
Yep.
than if somebody else does it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So speaking of, we're staying on the plus size topic. Your FMCs all have plus size and on their own journey to self-love. How do you approach writing body diversity and self-acceptance in a way that feels organic and empowering rather than forced or tokenized?
So, one of the things that definitely helps me is not only am I plus size and, I read things in books all the time and I cringe because I'm like, "Oh, you've never actually experienced this." But my best friend is not afraid to call me out. And she is also plus size and has been her whole life. So I really do work closely with her in helping to make sure that it remains authentic. And again, having been plus size my whole life, I've dealt with different levels of the journey. And I think most of the ones that I have incorporated in my books are ones that I have experienced myself. Like I had like a 2-year stretch where I'm like, I'm perfect. Everybody back off. I love my body. And then, with those moments of insecurity, because of course those don't just go away. And then that's really where Mia's at in book 3. And then Kat in book 2. I've had moments where I'm going to eat the salad. I'm going to just drink water. I'm going to just take it with a grain of salt at all the insults thrown at me and really kind of internalize it. And that's not a healthy place to be at. I know that, which is why it was so important for me to have the found family aspect, bring that, to her attention. And right now, I'm kind of where Josie's at, where it's like, sometimes I don't like my body, but like it is what it is, and I'm comfortable. I can live my life. I know, like everybody, there are ways that, you can be healthier. But at the end of the day, the acknowledgement that plus size does not mean unhealthy. Like,
Yeah.
you said, Ashley, I walk, I hike, I do yoga, I work out. And in the books, it's very important for me. I think all of them mentioned some kind of workout class that all the girls go to. And it's usually something like Pilates or yoga, things that, the fat girl can't be bendy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
where did
Yeah.
I mean, no, I cannot lay down flat on my chest and have my head rest on the floor because boobs. I had that in a yoga class where the instructor came and pushed my head farther down. I was like, no, I
Yeah.
have to be a sea lion. This is as far down as I go. And she's like, I just don't understand why. And I got up and she was like, carry on. And I was like, yeah, they don't go anywhere. So, yeah, for me, it was just really important to take what I know and even try to be like, looking back on it, okay, how could I have handled that better? How could I have been better in a mental state about my body at that time? So that definitely helped me.
Sounds like you did a great job.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So, speaking of your MMCs, we've heard a little bit about that. When we're looking at this book in particular, they're described as feminist and emotionally intelligent. We are obsessed with that because that's obviously something you don't see a lot. And I know that you really geared towards adding that into your books because of that reason. But can you tell us more about Bryce and what makes him different from your typical romance hero?
First and foremost, he goes to therapy and he doesn't just fix one problem and be like, peace out, I'm done. I graduated therapy. He continues to go. And I think, a lot of people, I have had some reviewers that are like, oh, he should have never left after Josie told him how badly he hurt her. And to me, the acknowledgement that I need time to come to terms with what I did, I'm not walking out. I'm telling you, I need to go before I hurt you again. Give me time.
Yeah.
That is emotional intelligence. And that is, he doesn't want to. He's already broken her heart by saying something in the heat of the moment. And not only that, but throughout their regrowth and coming back together, he can acknowledge moments that he fell short, and that he wasn't there for her in the correct way. And, he tells her at one point that after every meet that he continued to swim at, that she was no longer doing media for, he looked for her because that was his grounding point to find her in the stands. And that included his final Olympics. To know that he put so much value in her, even if he couldn't show it, and acknowledging his inability to show it is really fundamental for him to continue to grow. At the end, I'm not going to give the ending away, but an opportunity arrives that allows them to go away from places that have memories and really start over. And he says to her, like, this might be our only chance. Like, I've messed up so badly in the past. We need to start over. And if you're with me, great. And if you're not, I love you and I understand. But I need to do this. And so for me, it's really being able to choose both what's great for you and best for you with the knowledge that the person you love might not be able to follow that. They might not be able to go where you need to go. But you're okay with that because you understand that one of you being unhappy is not going to fix anything. It's just going to make it worse. So you do see that growth, and, he gets to reclaim what he loves and what he wants, and he stops fitting into little boxes that he feels like he should be filling.
Just remember, it ends in a happy ending, guys.
Yeah.
It does. I promise you it does. And you get to see his mental health journey through the next 2 books. And with the novella, it is finally going to be, you're going to get Bryce's point of view. I didn't throw it into maybe one day because with the dual timeline, that was way too much. So it was, I'm like, we're going to just keep it Josie's point of view. And it kind of fits too, because especially in the past chapters, nobody wanted to know what his mental dialogue was. It would not have been pretty. So, yeah.
Yeah, because sitting here, I'm like, you're telling me that he tells her to, like, here's your chance, like, take it or leave it. And then I'm like, no, please tell me she takes it. I'm like, wait, she's already said it ends in a happy ending. I'm okay.
And there's 2 more books. There's 2 more books that don't take place in Omaha anymore. So clearly something happens.
I'm like, you're giving me a heart attack, Ashlyn.
I promise, happy ending.
Okay, so promises. You guys
If
heard
it helps, the novella is going to be their wedding. So
okay, I'm good. Good.
Yep, it's gonna be their wedding. The wedding he almost misses, but it's gonna be their wedding.
Oh, snap.
Yeah,
Typical
yeah.
man, I'm telling you.
It wasn't his fault. It was Mother Nature's fault.
Okay, he gets a pass, I guess.
Oh,
He's
now we're
very
getting
mad
lots
about
of
it.
good tidbits. I love
I
this.
know, I'm
Yes.
so excited. I need it all. Just give me it all. So we're gonna talk about your mental health representation. I can't even talk. What is the process like when it comes to balancing the realism with romance, especially when dealing with sensitive topics?
I could say that one comes from personal experience, but I'm a mental health mess, and my romance life right now is. So I think, though, it does come from, I have a lot of friends around me that are in relationships that do balance the mental health really well. And, there's so much going on in the world that any type of healthy mental health coping mechanism that I can help put out there. I know for me, when I started writing Maybe One Day, it came from a place of grief, like really deep grief. I had just lost my aunt, who is my biggest supporter in the writing world. She started the swimming thing with me, and I was her POA, and it happened suddenly. So I had to deal with all of that. And I started a corporate job that I hated, which is the inspiration for their job in the book. And it helped me. Like, writing this book and writing their own mental health journey while I was on my own and starting to, go to therapy regularly, really work on moving on from grief, moving on from, body image issues, things like that. It helped me keep a good balance because it allowed me to be like, okay, if the girl in the thick of this is like, this a little much for a romance book, then I could scale it back. I did want to portray it very much as like a forefront of the story, but really focus in that everybody's journey is different, which is why, and yes, in a lot of ways, maybe not having Bryce's point of view was detrimental to understanding his mental health journey in this book. But I've had reviewers that read the first book and they're like, ugh, Bryce. And by the time they're done with the third book, they're like, oh, wait, no, I get it. I get it. It's not magically fixed in 300 pages, but in 300 pages, you can get to the starting point. And so I think that for me, it was balancing, because you could write a whole book about people being in therapy and just not even touch their love lives. So for me, it was really about looking at the story, looking at these characters. If you're an author and you're writing mental health, get to know your characters.
Yeah.
Please sit down, do a fake interview with them, understand, hell, I even did fake therapy sessions with my characters.
So cool, though. I love that so much.
And, I also talked to my I talked to my therapist. I'm like, okay, we got 10 minutes left. We've wrapped me up for the day. Can I bounce some book ideas off you?
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. And having that support was really great. And unfortunately, we don't see on-page therapy until book 3, but having that balancing act of seeing the journey without necessarily, it's not who they are. And it was really important for me to say, depression, anxiety, ADHD, whatever. It's not who you are. It's part of who you are.
Right.
So I wanted to show how it infiltrates their lives on a day-to-day more than it being the focus. But Mia, by book 3, girl, we need to see that therapy. Because you're a hot mess. And, eventually my best friend will listen to this and she's the inspiration for Mia. And she's going to be like, I hate you. And I'm going to be like, no, you don't. No, you don't. So,
just remember you love me.
Right.
Yep, exactly.
Yes, it all comes from love.
Yes, absolutely. And she finished reading that book and she's like, rude. You know me too well. I'm like, I'm so sorry. You're a great person to inspire a character off of. So yeah.
It's in the best way possible. It's out of love.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Be flattered.
Yeah.
If somebody would make
Even if
me an
she's a little bit of a
inspiration.
hard ass, be flattered.
Yeah. Miranda, I need to be an inspiration of a character.
Don't worry. That will probably happen. I kid you not. I find inspiration in the weirdest places.
I'm a weird place.
Yes.
Fantastic. I will take it. I will take it.
There's another t-shirt idea for you. Oh my
I'm a
gosh.
weird place.
That was a good
There
one.
we go. If you make that t-shirt, I want one.
Miranda,
Where's
write
my
it down.
pen? I keep
Yeah.
making notes for these things in different places. and I feel like I'm losing them.
I have
And
a
they're
whole
good
collection of like sticky notes sitting up here
Yeah.
that I don't know what book idea they went to, but they were something I jotted down at my
They'll
office
pop
job,
in
and I'm like,
somewhere.
oops.
Maybe they'll even pop into a piece of writing that you didn't intend it, but it just works better in
Yep.
this one. You never know.
There we go. Perfect.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
I have
Ah,
Goodreads giveaway in
yeah.
February.
I totally know what all of
Okay.
that. I can immediately, Ashley, if you don't know what that means, I can totally help you out with that.
I know what the Goodreads giveaway one is, but I can't remember the exact title. But I do know that was from the other day. Okay, anyways, moving on. Have you had any moments where a reader reached out and told you how your stories impacted them personally?
Yes. One of the first ones totally caught me off guard. I write under a pen name, but technically my legal name because it's my legal first and middle name, but not my last name, which makes signing things like legal documents so much easier. If you have a middle name that's actually a last name, 10 out of 10 will recommend. But she followed me on TikTok and like we had a little bit of interaction on TikTok. And it was actually last year I was going to Romance Con as a reader. And, you know, I have anxiety, I have ADHD, and my best friend was like, get a cart, get a book cart. And I'm like, I've never been to one of these things. Nobody's asking this question in the Facebook group. I'm going to ask the question in the Facebook group. And she messaged me privately. And at that point, my personal Facebook was still under my legal last name. Nothing except my picture to tie us together. And she's like, okay, so I thought it would be less creepy to message you here than to go onto your Instagram and say, are you actually Ashlyn blah, blah, blah. But did you write maybe one day? And I'm like, oh God, okay, yeah, why?
What I do?
Totally out of the blue. And I'm like, if you hated it, you probably would have said something on TikTok by now, but whatever. And she's like, I'm going to Romance Con. I'm from Canada. I know you're not signing at the event, but if I bring my copy, will you sign it for me? You write plus size so beautifully. I resonated so much with you and your character. And I could not respond to her right away because I needed like 5 minutes to go cry in a corner.
Yeah.
And then I was like, yeah, absolutely. And then when I actually met up with her at Romance Con, it was right after the plus size panel. So it was perfect timing. I had a feeling we would both be at that panel. And she connected me with another author who I was actually planning to go network with at some point. And she's like, both of you, like, you don't know how much it means to me to see plus size representation done so well. And I was like, okay, yeah, please don't make me cry in public. Please don't make me cry in public. But for me, honestly, the best that I ever got was my grandma, my adopted grandma. She was my grandpa's special friend. She won't call it what it is, but we all know. And she will never listen to this because she doesn't even order things off Amazon, let alone go creeping on the internet. But after she read maybe one day, so she was dating my grandpa at the time of his death, and she has been my adopted grandma since then. She was the only person living that was close enough to be a grandmother to me. And afterwards, she came to me and she said, I just want to say thank you for writing that book. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, you read my spice scenes. Like, you specifically told me you would, because not reading them would ruin the fun. And I'm like, and you're just special friends. Okay. Keep in mind that she is also an ordained deacon. But she looked at me, she's like, thank you so much for writing that book. It reminded me of what it meant to be young and fall in love. And I was like, shut down all the review sections. Nothing else is ever needed. Yeah. I did it. I won. Yeah. I'm great. I could never write another word, and that would mean the absolute most to me. So yeah, I've been really, really lucky with readers. So not to say that
grandma's story is way better than mine. The t-shirt.
Oh my gosh.
So my grandma calls me one day.
Yeah.
My grandpa got cancer about 5 years ago, and we packed up everything and moved to, it's like a house that has 2 different apartments in it, so I could be like his caretaker. And so grandma calls me and she goes, Ashley, you've got to come up here. I've got the cutest shirt. You're going to be so jealous. And I'm like, okay. So I go upstairs and she's got it all bundled up in front of her. She's like, you're going to be so jealous. It's the cutest thing ever. My grandma's like old. So she pulls the shirt out and she puts it across her chest. And she's like, look. And I literally have a video of this because as soon as I saw it, I had to record it. And it's a it's a unicorn sitting on another unicorn's face. And it says, unless I'm sitting on your face, my weight is none of your business. And I'm like, Grandma, do you know what that means? And she goes, it means that the chubby unicorn is mad at the other unicorn because of their weight. And I'm like, no, Grandma, that's not what it means. And she goes, what does it mean? And I told her, she goes, well, you can have this shirt. She throws it.
Love your grandma. Like, officially, I love your grandma.
She's also
a
the same
character.
grandma that bought, I have a culinary arts degree. So she does, once again, calls me, Ashley, you got to come see this new kitchen gadget I got. Okay, Grandma. So I go up there. And she's got it in a box, same thing. And she's like, look, Ashley, it's an herb grinder. And she's like showing me how it works. I'm like, Grandma, that's not an herb grinder. That's what it said on Amazon. I'm like, no, Grandma, that is not an herb grinder. She goes, yeah, you put your herbs in here when they're dry and you can crush them up. I'm like, will you please stop doing that? And I told her, and she's like, no. So then I called my cousin, and I'm like, did you see the stuff Grandma bought? And she's like, no. She comes over and does the same thing to my cousin. And my cousin's like, Grandma, that's for marijuana. And she's like, oh my gosh. She's like, I don't want this. Find some. I'm like, I need to start approving your purchases before you go buy things. Because who knows what's next?
No. I mean, I'm team let Grandma go. Just keep the stories.
It's my grandma.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
She's a character, that one. I tell you.
And my grandpa was alive for the t-shirt one, and he's got both hands or face in, he's got his hands in his, face in his hands, oh my gosh, and he's shaking his head. He's like, this is so
Oh my God.
embarrassing. I'm like, well, you married her.
I say that all the time to my mom when she talks about my dad. I'm like, you married him.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, I
I'll
know.
tell ya. But Ashlyn, that was all of our questions. Thank you so much for sitting down and talking with us today. Before we
you.
go, can you share with everybody where they can find you, where they can find your books and everything, Ashlyn?
Yeah, so the entirety of the A Dare Swim series is on Kindle Unlimited, so you can definitely check it out there. If you want signed copies, I have those available on my website under ashlynharmon.com, and those will come with some goodies, a handwritten thank you note, character art, all of that. And then otherwise, I am active on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. I did just delete Threads from my phone because I don't need that in my life, but I do post on Threads, and they are all under Ash Writes Romance, so yeah. I love interacting with readers and fellow authors. I really do strive to build a community because, I mean, my friends need to stop publishing amazing books because I have no more bookshelf space. So, yeah. I usually read what I post what I'm reading. Oh, yeah.
Love it.
Come hang
So
out.
make sure you guys go follow Ashlyn. Everything Ashlyn will be tagged below in this video so that you guys can go follow her. Don't forget to subscribe to us on Spotify, Amazon Music, or YouTube. And until next time, keep turning those pages and keep mashing those genres. We'll see you next time, guys.